Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm doing a slightly different kind of video today. This is a response to a question I was sent by one of my subscribers. She asked me, if your house was on fire and you could only save 5 books, which 5 books would you save? That is a really interesting question. It made me think long and hard about what books really mean to me and why I love books so much. So thank you for that. So here are the top 5 books that I would save if my house was on fire. The first book that I thought of when I read this question was The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. This is the story of a pilot who crashes in the desert and meets a young prince who has fallen to Earth from a tiny asteroid. The story is whimsical and magical, but it also has a lot of depth and meaning. It's a book that I read as a child and still think about as an adult. There's just something about the way that the author writes that is so captivating and moving, and I feel like everyone should read this book at least once in their life. The second book that I would save is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is a classic novel set in the American South that tells the story of Scout Finch, a young girl who grows up during the Great Depression. Scout's father, Atticus, is a lawyer who defends a black man who has been falsely accused of raping a white woman. The novel explores themes of racism, prejudice, and justice, and it's told with Scout's innocent and moving perspective. I read this book for the first time in high school, and it's one of those books that really stayed with me. Harper Lee is such a brilliant writer, and I feel like To Kill a Mockingbird is a must-read for everyone. The third book that I would save is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I know this is 3 books, but I couldn't choose just one. This is an epic high fantasy story that follows the adventures of Frodo Baggins, a hobbit who sets out on a journey to destroy the One Ring. Tolkien created such a rich and immersive world that I feel like once you start reading, you can just get lost in it. I've actually read The Lord of the Rings 3 times, and I feel like each time I read it, I discover something new. It's such an incredible story with memorable characters. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. The fourth book that I would save is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is a classic romance novel that follows the relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and Fitzwilliam Darcy. When they first meet, Elizabeth is immediately prejudiced against Darcy because of his pride and she rejects him. But over time, they learn to overcome their pride and prejudice and realize that they are in love. I absolutely adore this book. It's such a fun and light-hearted read, but it also has a lot of depth and social commentary. If you've never read it, do yourself a favor and pick it up. You won't regret it. The fifth and final book that I would save is 1984 by George Orwell. This is a dystopian novel that follows the story of Winston Smith, a man who rebels against the oppressive government in Oceania. Winston falls in love with Julia, and together they try to figure out how to live a meaningful life under such a totalitarian regime. This is another book that I read in high school, and it had a profound impact on me. George Orwell is such a brilliant writer, and he really makes you think about the dangers of totalitarianism and the importance of individuality and freedom. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. So those are the 5 books that I would save if my house was on fire. I know it's a bit of a different kind of video, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.